Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Chester. You guys know what I like to do on my show. Say it with me. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, Scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on a fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about my guest, who is a children's book author. Now, you guys know I love children's book authors. So we are going to talk to A.G. Sinko today about her newest book, Blossom and Her Friends. So go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, AG. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, I had the pleasure of interviewing you once before for another book, so I am so happy to have you back on the show to talk about your new release. Now, before we get to that book, there may be some folks out there that are unfamiliar with you or your book, or might be new to the show. So if you would, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What makes you you?
Well, I am a writer by trade, and I love working with kids. And I got married to the two together just not too long ago by putting out this first book, and it's been well received. So they said, so where's the second book? So the second book is coming soon. So.
Now, being an author, is that something that you've always wanted to do that, or did you find that this was a way for you to help teach the next generation, to share your knowledge, if you will?
It's a little bit of both. I had not thought to be particularly a children's book author for a long time, and people just said, the essays that I was writing, the little stories that I was writing were really good, and I should really follow through. And it took one of my teachers to say, no, you got this. You really have. She got me. I got her. And we just clicked together, and she's like, no, you have to put this out. You have to publish this. And I enjoyed teaching the young people. I enjoyed, to not hammer them with morality or you must do it this way kind of thing. But I want to have it be fun, and the lesson comes in naturally to when I'm writing the books for them.
And I can definitely understand that when we make learning fun, it's fun learning. But when if we're really open and honest, right? No one really likes the lecture. No one really wants to be preached to. Even as a little child, there's something about the way that makes you feel. The way that the person looks when they're in the middle of kind of wagging a finger, if you will. So you're right. If we could do it in a way that opens it up and makes it okay to learn whatever you need to learn, I think that people are willing to do that. I love that answer. Now, the title of this book, Blossom and Her Friends, can you tell us why is this the title of this book?
Well, Blossom and Dragon and her friend Christopher from the first book have to go on an errand, and while they're running their errand, another villager says, we used to have dragons in our forest too. Could you go see if they're still there and whatnot? And so Dragon and Blossom and Christopher go to the forest. And lo and behold, not just one dragon, but there's a whole bunch of dragons in this particular forest. So they have to decide, are they going to get to know them? Are they friendly dragons? Are they willing to meet Dragon and Blossom halfway and say, oh, okay, you guys aren't so bad either. So let's see what we could do. And
I like that. Now, when it comes to the proper age group, many times when we think children's book, depending on where you are in your relationship to children, sometimes you think, kind of chapter books, those thick cardboard books that are almost destruction free, right? But then sometimes we think about children's books and it's almost just a more colorful version of a novel because it's for an older child to read. Where does your book fall in between there? What age group is most appropriate for this book, for Blossom and her friends?
We have cataloged them at our library as young reader, so that would be about a 6-year-old and up. And we do have chapters, but they're not big thick novels. And it's a regular book, with the thin pages and stuff. And I think it also allows for the young people to say, hey, I have a chapter book, and they could be proud of themselves for moving up into the next category of books for young people.
Absolutely. No, I remember when nieces, nephews, my own son, for an example, when they were little, they're all adults now, but when they were little, and it, like you said, they are excited. It's like, we get to do chapter books now. And it's like, congratulations, that is a big deal. We kind of take it for granted as adults, but that is a big deal at that particular time. Now, would you say that this is a fun family book in that an older sibling would be able to read it to their younger sibling and that older child would still be entertained as much as the younger child would be?
Absolutely. We've had occasion, I've had feedback based on that as well. And parents, I had one parent who is a self-proclaimed non-reader, picked up the book and he just loved it. And he was in the group that says, where's the next one? When is it coming out? I have to have it. And it actually has encouraged him to go back and start reading more books so that he could be a better example to his daughter.
Absolutely. I like that. Now, I'm going to ask a somewhat of a difficult question, and that is about dragons. There are some folks that believe that dragons are mean, evil, nasty. They're scary. There's a lot of, thumbs down about dragons. There are other folks who say that, dragons can be fun and can be full of wisdom and can help guide you from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, and the child has learned a lesson thanks to the dragon's guidance. For someone who may be a little apprehensive or a little nervous just because it's about a dragon or includes a dragon, what do you say to that person to let them know that this dragon is okay?
These dragons are good dragons, and they are older than the villagers, and they've been around for a while, but they're good dragons. They want to help the villagers around them. They want to have a good life, and when they had conflict, the dragons just went into the forest and kept to themselves. They didn't do anything evil to the villagers or anything. They just walked away. And so now that Blossom has made friends with her dragon, and he comes around to run, to go to the next village, he helps mediate between people and the other dragons, and that leads the other dragons to say, oh, maybe people aren't so bad as either, and the people can say, dragons aren't so bad.
It's really interesting because my friends and I have had conversations saying, we as humans are quite interesting in that, of course, we see things through our perspective, but the animals perhaps see things, of course, through their perspective. The way that we may say, bears are frightening and mean or whatever, right? But bears probably are thinking the same thing. Uh-oh, there goes a human. They're frightening. They're mean. So it's like if we could just learn to deal with each other in nature the way that is best so that everyone can get along, it seems like that's the best thing to do. And it seems like that's what you're trying to introduce in and how they don't turn into that mean dragon, but that they stay that nice dragon. I love that. I love that. Now, I want to make sure that I give you an opportunity to give us the compare and contrast, if you will. So my question to you is, I want to ask you what makes this book like the last one, but what makes it different as well. So let's go with the first part. How was this book like the first Blossom book?
It's like it in that it's the same theme of get to know your people, you get to know the dragons, get to know your supposed adversary, and you can see that there's more in common than there is in conflict, and so yes, he could be a dragon, but he's not so mean, and he's not, he or she is not out to harm anybody, and we could be friends and still be different is I think the same across both books. And what's different is that we are expanding that theme, where it's not just that it's one dragon is polite and friendly, but not the other dragons that we meet are also at the very least tolerant of villagers, and so the villagers can learn their lesson again and say, hey, we were really mean, we apologize, can we help you? So I think it's a broader spectrum, is that there are more dragons, there are more villagers, different dragons and things. So, but the theme is kind of the same.
And I as I was listening to that, I love how you made sure that there were certain aspects that kind of flowed to the next book, that there really was that continuity there. And for children, I'm sure that brings a it's kind of like having a schedule, where there's like, I really loved the first book. I'm really glad that I'm going to kind of just get dropped off, not in a brand new book, but I'm still familiar with these faces, if you will, and there's that familiarity there. So I love that. I love that. Now, when you were making the differences in the book, did you find that creating those differences, was that difficult to do, or was that easy to do? Was it just simply continuing the story on?
It was just continuing the story, and I mean, there was a little bit of worry that I was too heavy-handed with the dragons and introducing themselves to new dragons and stuff like that. But I also wanted to make sure that the new dragons were still friendly dragons, and I want to make sure that the overarching theme is held in place, and once. Oh, sorry. Once I wrote the rough draft, I saw places to tighten up, and saw places where I could expand. Again, the uneasiness of making new friends, and making getting to know other creatures. Whether you're, as a human, you're talking about a dragon, or as a dragon, you're talking about a human. And it was fun. The ending came to me quickly, so I was like, oh, okay, and I could write to the ending, and that worked out, I think, pretty well.
I love it. I love it. Well, it is time for us to go to break. But before we do, can you remind everyone, please, what is the title of this book? Where can we get a copy? And, of course, how do we stay in contact with you?
So this book is called Blossom and Her Friends. It is available on Amazon.com. And you can reach me at Facebook, at Instagram, at author A.G. Sinko.
Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this.
Discovery. No, just a sec.
What would it look like if we listened more? Could the right voice, the right set of words, bring us all just a little closer? Get us to open up, even push us further? It could, if we took the time to listen. The most inspiring minds, the most compelling stories. Download Audible and listen for a change.
Hi everyone, Dr. Angela here. Just wanted to take a few moments to wish you and your family an amazing autumn. It is during this time of the year that we start to take in the harvest. Well, Deuteronomy 11:14 reminds us that not only will God provide the rain, but He will provide the grain, the new wine, and the oil that we need in order to be sustained. So as we start to gather with friends and family during this season, may you be reminded of all that God has done, is doing, and will continue to do in your life. So from all of us here, may you have an amazing harvest. And remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester. My guest today is A.G. Sinko, and we're talking about her newest children's book, Blossom and Her Friends. So, A.G., my next question for you is, when it comes to children's books, there are so many out there in the market today. And I'm pretty sure that there are some children's books that have friendly dragons, so on and so forth. So for that person who says, yeah, what makes your book so special? I want to give you an opportunity to answer that question. What makes Blossom and Her Friends a little different or unique from some of the other books out there?
I think it is different in that we have vastly different creatures. You know, as you said before, the bear could be scary to a person, and the bear is probably scared of the person. And so Blossom and the dragon, you know, not the dragon is her pet, but they have a healthy respect for each other. She respects dragon being a dragon, and that he can breathe fire and he can fly, you know, and it's all things that Blossom cannot do. But then he doesn't have the dexterity to pick berries. He eats the whole bush, you know, and that kind of thing. So she does things that he can't do, and they are okay with that. They're all right, you know. And while there are books about different ethnic backgrounds and things, it's still people are people, or dragons are with other dragons and things like that. And again, it's a small chapter book so that the kids who are just beginning to read on their own can pick it up and say, "Ooh, we have good dragons here. Excellent." And maybe teach their parents that, you know, dragons aren't all bad dragons, you know.
And I love that as you were talking about the diversity that's found in your book, and then you said it because I was thinking, oh wow, this could be used in so many different ways. It could children with disabilities, or if we're talking about culture and ethnicity and all of that. And then you said, people are people, and it's like, oh my gosh, I really love that you are introducing that to so many children. We do know that kids are so beautiful and that they are so accepting of one another. It's until the adults kind of come in and put their own little twists on stuff that children start behaving a different way. But by and large, kids will just be kids. They're happy to see their friends regardless of what the adults may see or have to say. So I love that. That was something that was very much taught to me as a child, that we love everyone, because we are all God's creatures. So I'm so glad that you included that in your book as well. Now, for someone who says, we asked for more books last time and we got a new book, I'm sure there's someone who says, I want a copy, I'm going to get a copy, but I also want to know if there are going to be more books available. How long is this series going to be? So I want to ask, are you already thinking about that? Are you already in the process of creating more books for this series as well?
Yes, I am. Absolutely creating more books. And I will continue the series as long as there are topics to be broached. So we have, for example, I'm working on how does a little dragon get to be a big dragon, and starting with different tasks and things that dragons do, and so Blossom's dragon will be teaching the little dragon how, the steps of growing up and what are the responsibilities of being a dragon, that kind of thing. There's also going to be where the other dragons from afar come to the village, and the villagers, are accepting of them, and so the dragons from afar are saying, "Oh no, people are terrible," and no, just come, and so Dragon again shows them what possibilities there are for meeting with people and the dragons that he's teaching. So I have about 8 different scenarios right now, and so we've only done 2, so there's at least 6 more books coming.
Oh, wow. That is exciting. Oh, I love that. And, I applaud you because you're not kind of waiting around for it to happen, but you're being really proactive about it, because there's always something that we can teach children. There's always the need to make sure that they have that guidance in place, and not sometimes address things after it happens, but to give them that foreknowledge so they'll know how to act, behave, or how to be their best selves, before the situation even arises. So I think that is so awesome. See, this is why I love children's book authors, because they're always mindful of our little people. So thank you so much for that. Now, I want to kind of shift gears just a little bit, and I want to ask you some questions for our aspiring authors out there. You are a seasoned author, and you have taken this journey, and there are some lessons that you can share. So I want to kind of pick your brain, if you will. So my first question to you is there anything in particular that you wish you had known before you started your very first book? Like, there's things that you know right now that you could easily pass on that you didn't know when you started. What would one of those things be that could have made the journey a little easier?
Have faith in yourself. For the longest time, I didn't think I was good enough for any kind of writing, and I have a written a vast amount, but I didn't think it was worth even trying to publish until I was taking a class on a lark. It fit my schedule. I wanted to be creative, and the teacher, bang, the two of us got on perfectly. And had I not been supposedly bored with myself, I wouldn't have taken that class, and I wouldn't have had the opportunity that has come to me now, come to fruition now. So those of you who are writing, absolutely keep on writing, and just believe in yourself that someday it's going to get done. You know, in your lifetime, it can get done.
I like that. And, you know, believing in yourself is so important with so many things that we do in the world today. Folks have a hard time many times shaking off some of the negative things that other people have said about you, or you've chosen to let some of that negative talk kind of stick to you, so to speak, and it can be a really tough go at it. That's one of the things that I talk about when I'm out and about, especially with young people. You know, God's given all of us a talent, and He wouldn't give us that talent if we weren't supposed to use that talent in some way, shape, or form. So I am so glad that you were able to step out of that and step into your author role and really help mold the next generation to be positive little ones. Now, every author has to decide how they're going to publish their books. I try to ask this question of all of my guests because it is a decision, and for many folks, it's a tough decision. So did you decide to self-publish? Did you decide to use professional services? Or did you go with hiring an agent and having that agent pitch your book to the big boys? How did that work out for you?
I did try the agent route, and while I got some advice from some agents, there are some people that were near where I live that they live here too, so we interacted and stuff, and they told me how to approach an author, but they were not agents. The person that I spoke with was not an agent for children's books. So she helped me out a lot. She gave me some pointers and stuff. But believe it or not, my books were considered too forward for, especially for young people. So I said, okay, I'll do this myself. And so I went through the self-publishing, and there were some ups and downs, but I found a really awesome company who I'm using now as a self-publishing program, and they have editors and they have illustrators and so forth, and they are really awesome, and they're working hard with me to make sure that my books get out, you know, in a timely fashion and stuff like that. So right now I will stay right now to be honest, with the self-publishing company, this particular company, because the big boys were not interested. So I'm not interested in you know, making a deal. I have a deal, and so I
can definitely understand that. Yeah, I can appreciate that. You know, it's because we have to realize that there are so many authors out there that are a lot like you. You know, they perhaps got some advice from an agent or from some of the big guys, but ultimately they said, sorry, not this book, right? But yet they have gone on to be very successful self-published authors. And I think that we're starting to get more and more away from people thinking that you have to have the big brand stamp in order to be successful. You can be successful and still be a self-published author. I love it. I love Well, AJ Sinko, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your newest book with us here today. I appreciate your coming back. I always enjoy talking to you. We are out of time for today, but before we go, could you remind everyone, please, what is the title of this book? Where can we get a copy? And, of course, how do we stay in contact with you?
Absolutely. The book is called Blossom and Her Friends. It is available on Amazon.com, and the best way to reach me is through Instagram at author AG Sinko.
Thank you again for being a guest on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And listeners, thank you for spending some time with me here today as well. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend it with me, and I thank you for doing so. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.